social anthropologist as well, and therefore my approach would be from a social anthropologist's point of view. Now, when I look as a social anthropologist, when I look at a society, whatever phenomenon I'm going to study, to look at, I tend to look at it in a holistic way. I'm traditionally a political anthropologist, but when I look at the relationship between the rulers and ruled, I also take into account all other factors, elements in society that might influence people's attitude towards their rulers and vice versa. So for me, the relationship between individual and society, whether it is in a relationship between a citizen and his or her fellow citizens, or between a citizen and his rulers, it is always a relationship of reciprocity, in the sense that it is a relationship ruled by rights, duties, and responsibilities. It works both ways. So it is from the rulers towards the community, and from each individual members of the society, of the community, towards the rest of the society. Now, yesterday you were discussing probably more the economic aspect of this issue, but let me say that, for instance, when we look at market relations, we look more at the relationship, the logic of the marketplace rather than the capitalistic market principle. What we mean in anthropology by the logic of the marketplace, it is a logic that applies whether it is a relationship of reciprocity based on physical encounters, or it applies also whether it is online, virtual encounters, relationship, in the sense that they are based on trust, expectations, and accountability. So when it is face-to-face, it's probably easier to establish this kind of relationship. But also in the virtual community, in the virtual market, let's say, the online markets, you see that people tend to buy things from specific places because their experience told them that they can trust that seller, so there exists expectation and accountability. But what about the relationship in terms also of controls and power? Okay, every society has had different forms of social control. In the past, in small communities, community studies by anthropologists, social control was exercised through mockery, through gossip, through ostracism. Now, in the digital era, we see that social control is exercised in different ways. We know much more about our rulers. We know much more about the elite, the powerful. There is much more scrutiny, and there are people commenting on this. So in this way, they try to exercise social control in this way. But there is also another negative aspect of social control, the bully, that people experience through, the social media, which has led the people also to suicide and ruin the lives of people. So the digital technology, and especially artificial intelligence, has been presented as the technology that empowers the individual. But does it actually empower the individual? I've mentioned some negative aspect of it, but also let me mention also the effect on society. Who does have access to the new technology? In which sense it empower or disempower the individual? Does the new technology brings more social justice, equality? Or does it leave out a significant section of the population who does not have the technological literacy, doesn't have means to access the new technology? Italo was mentioning a bit earlier about the second-class citizens. So is the new technology actually empowering the individual, or is creating even more layers of second and third class of citizens? So this is something that we should also reflect on about this. I think the first question about power over the individual, but also the power that the individual can have in order to exist in this new technological era.